Now for comic readers, we know what's potentially coming in terms of Beta and a specific scene from the comics related to the tower. If you take a look at the back, you do see the tower. Now, in terms of which character is going to get that, I've done my video talking about that, but at this point, I think either It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another sneak peek breakdown for the upcoming episode of The Walking Dead, Season 10, Episode 15, which is called The Tower. So, if you missed my reaction to the last episode, episode 14, which was called Look at the Flowers, you can click the link that's going to drop on the top right to go check that out. Also, if you missed my Things You May Have Missed and Easter eggs for the episodes for the second half of season 10, there's a playlist you can go to that's going to drop on the top right to go check those out. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. So we're going to look at two sneak peeks that they released for the upcoming episode that's going to air next week. One is from Talking Dead and the other is an extension of the one on Talking Dead. It's like half of what they released on Talking Dead. So we're going to take a look at both of those. Usually they release an opening minute as well, but maybe it's too early. But when they release that, I will cover that as well. So stay tuned for that. But this sneak peek pretty much starts with this pretty awesome shot of the Alexandria safe zone being overrun by walkers. Now, as you can see, there are whispers like this one that are roaming amongst the walkers. And we actually see Beta and other whispers on top of the windmill. Now, we don't know necessarily what happened to the residents, but it seems like the residents are missing or they are hiding or something along those lines. But if you take a look at the top of the tower, we do see Beta and some other whispers. Now, for comic readers, we know what's potentially coming in terms of Beta and a specific scene from the comics related to the tower. Not only do we see Beta on top of a tower here, this episode is also called The Tower. So everything is pointing towards us actually seeing that specific moment from the comics in this episode. It's going to be extremely interesting to see whether anyone dies in this episode or not. Now, you can see him looking down at the sea of walkers that have overrun the Alexandria safe zone. So the Alexandria safe zone at this point has been overrun. Now, I don't know whether we're going to see the Alexandria safe zone actually being attacked or we're going to see the aftermath. What we do know is that the survivors are hiding. We're going to see that in a little bit, but I'm sure not all of them are hiding. So there's going to be maybe a few of them that are hiding in their own houses. And maybe some of them do escape, but it's going to be interesting to see. But what I'm interested to see is whether they're going to skip the Alexandria safe zone being overrun, like the moment it gets overrun, or whether they're going to show us that. Now, the reason why I think they may need to or they may want to skip that is because it feels too much like No Way Out and the storyline that we saw. So that leads me to think that maybe they're going to play around with the timeline a little bit and not do the exact same thing, being show us the walkers get there, overrun the community, and have the survivors have to escape. So they might be doing something different, like I said, and playing around with the time and having episode 15 be the aftermath in a way of the community actually being overrun, and maybe we'll see snippets of flashbacks in episode 15 showing us what happened and how the survivors managed to escape. It might not necessarily work out, especially given that episode 16 is not going to air for God knows how long, because of course they weren't able to finish post-production for episode 16. So that's delayed. So episode 15 in a way acts like the finale of this season until we get the actual and official season finale. But what's very interesting is this episode is called The Tower. And for comic readers, we know there's going to be a pretty awesome and iconic scene coming up from the comics related to Beta. And it's going to involve another character who's on top of a tower. Now, the title obviously hints that we are going to see that in this episode. But what I just noticed as well is if you take a look at the back, you do see the tower. So that's going to be the exact same tower that scene is most likely going to happen in. Now, in terms of which character is going to get that, I've done my video talking about that. But at this point, I think either Alden or Father Gabriel or Rosita are very, very likely to be getting that specific moment. I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want to spoil it for non-comic readers, but it's probably going to be one of these three characters who gets that. And the fact that this episode is called The Tower, and the tower in the back, and Beta looming over Alexandria safe zone on top of the windmill, which is another tower, are a lot of signs that we are in fact gonna get that scene in this episode. But then we have Beta looking around, and then another whisperer shows up and says, no sign of them, they left quickly, couldn't have gone far, and the other whisperer says to search elsewhere, so where else are we gonna search for them? And then Beta says, where? And that's where he hears whispers. I don't know who's whispering, maybe the whispers that are amongst the walkers, but they whispered they have nothing, maybe they hide. And that's when it clicks in Beta's head and he says ocean. So that's referring to the ocean side, I think. So Beta is thinking maybe they've gone to the ocean side. But what's interesting, and I didn't really notice this until I watched tonight's episode twice, if you take a look at Beta's mask, it seems like half of his mask is his original and the other half is Alpha's face. So that's pretty interesting. I mean, he was a psychopath anyway, but this makes him more of a psychopath. Well, what's interesting is in the background, we actually see Alden, and we're gonna see Eren as well in a little bit. They are hiding on top of the windmill tower. So they're right behind Beta at this point. So that's pretty interesting. But then this first sneak peek ends, and that's where the Talking Dead sneak peek starts. So Alden signs something to Eren. I don't even know what he's saying. And then Eren writes something. I don't know exactly what they might be writing, but maybe it's something to do with what Beta just said. But then Eren signs a little bit more to Alden. I don't know what he's saying again. But that's when Alden looks at Beta again. Beta notices, turns around, and that's when Alden hides. And then what's interesting is that Eren is asking Alden, I think, did he see you or did he not see you? He does that a couple times. That's pretty much where the sneak peek ends. Again, they usually release another sneak peek, which is the opening minutes. They haven't done that yet, but like I said, it's probably too early. So whenever that's released, stay tuned for my opening minute sneak peek breakdown as well. With that said, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time for another super video.